This is just taking money from customers and using it for your own purpose. Not sophisticated at all. Sophisticated perhaps in the way they were able to sort of hide it from people, frankly, right in front of their eyes. But this isn't sophisticated whatsoever. This is just plain old embezzlement.
Former chairman of Enron, now CEO of FTX, testifying before the House Financial Services Committee yesterday. Ray blaming grossly inexperienced owners for the collapse of FTX, saying that there was near zero corporate infrastructure and record keeping, and the company was uniquely positioned to fail. Joining us right now is Texas Congressman, member of the House Finance Committee, Lance Gooden. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. What did you take away from that hearing yesterday?
Well, basically, inexperienced crooks were in charge, as the chairman says. We didn't learn as much as we wanted to because, as you know, the Justice Department arrested Mr. Bankman-Fried the night before we were supposed to have a hearing. You've already discussed it this morning, but it is totally asinine, crazy to me that a prosecution team would not want their future defendant to come before our committee and continue spilling his guts to Congress, which he'd done in the media the last few weeks. But what we learned yesterday was that the one thing Democrats did not want to talk about were all the campaign contributions that had come from this embezzled money. And I can't find anyone in this town, even the few Republicans that took money from him, it's mostly Democrats, who want to talk about returning these funds to the bankruptcy court so they can funnel these funds back to those who have suffered from this collapse.
So this sounds like this is another cover-up by the Democrats of bad behavior, just the way we're seeing this cover-up of what's gone on at Twitter. Do you believe that is why they arrested him hours before he was set to go under oath, so that the Democrats would protect all of that information and we would not hear under oath how much money he's given to Democrats of embezzled money?
I mean, I don't know that we'll ever be able to prove it, but it certainly seems logical, and I can't think of a logical reason why we would not want him to testify yesterday. And I also can't find anyone that wants to talk about all of the Democratic contributions. These, as I said yesterday, this is not just a case of someone taking a donation from someone who then turns out to be questionable, when you then perhaps donate that to charity and say, I refuse any contributions from this character, whoever this is. Kanye West, for example. You know, if you found out later that he was a racist and you didn't want a contribution, you wouldn't give it back to him, you'd give it to charity. In this case, contributions taken from Bankman-Fried were stolen money from people who want to be made whole. And in the case of the U.S. Subsidiary of FTX, why aren't we talking about all these politicians that took money from him, returning it back so it can get back in the hands of those who've lost money?
Brian, and let me just say, the White House is refusing to say if they're going to return these political contributions from Bankman-Fried. The Securities and Exchange Commission chairman, Gary Gensler, hid public information, apparently, about private meetings he had with Hillary Clinton, billionaire George Soros, even Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. He's actually editing out these meetings from the public record.
Why? If there's nothing to hide, why? Congressman, this is my question to you. We've got heaps of regulators in D.C. Nobody was on this. And is that a question of just being ignorant to what's happening, or was there willful looking away because people in D.C. like the narrative of Sam Bankman-Fried, and they didn't want to let that get in the way of the fact that you had a rotten company at its heart? What's going on there?
Well, I think there's lots of potential answers to that. I can promise you, you're not going to have an answer to that question before Republicans take over next month. But I expect that we will have hearings and we'll get some answers to that. I do think he became a media darling for the Democrats. They saw him as a rising star that was going to bankroll their political future. Remember, he made promises to donate quite a large sum in the general election this past cycle, but he did not follow through, and Democrats were very disappointed. And I think they were very disappointed when all this came out and they realized that the money they had taken was in fact stolen and embezzled money. And so now they find themselves thinking, well, we should thank the Justice Department for arresting the guy because he was going to humiliate us in our hearing, and now that's no longer an issue, which is go ahead.
But Congressman, this is Dagan McDowell. This is a bipartisan problem. That the whole allure of crypto was that it was unregulated. and that Republicans and Democrats for years had the opportunity to come in and regulate the industry, and they didn't want to stop the party and take the candy away from the kids who were having such a great time. Just like TikTok, it's the same thing. Right. Again, this was an issue. Crypto would have never blown up the way that it did, and I mean to the upside, if not for the money printing by the Federal Reserve and the spending by Democrats and Republicans. And so there was no regulation. The Federal Trade Commission could have come in. They can regulate consumer products. The Consumer Financial Protection Agency could have come in, but they didn't do it. And FTX was offshore. So this is a broad problem. Everybody.
Because of the money? Is it because of the money they got again?
No, it was both Republicans and Democrats. This went on for years. Nobody regulated it. They didn't want to stop the party.
For crypto as a whole, that is accurate. But also, stealing is a basic crime. That has been against the rules since the Ten Commandments came out. It's very obvious. If someone gives you money to do one thing with and you do something else with it, that is basic stealing. And I don't think any amount of regulation would have perhaps prevented him from doing that. Yeah. But there was a total blind eye on this gentleman in particular, I believe, because of his political contributions. And they were primarily to Democrats. And I also believe they need to be returned.
Yeah. So were you going to ask that yesterday? I know there was a tense moment between you and Maxine Waters during the hearing yesterday. Let's watch this. I want to know what you wanted to ask. Watch.
Chairwoman Waters, I've not had an opportunity to testify or to question the witness.
I'd like to thank you for your presence.
Chairwoman Waters,
And for the
parliamentary inquiry?
Yes.
Are all members entitled to question witnesses?
You are, and if you would like to miss the votes on the floor for everybody.
Hey, it's the chairwoman's prerogative to call a recess.
1 moment, please.
That's your decision, not mine.
Just 1 moment, please. You may go right ahead and have 5 minutes.
What do you think happened there, Congressman?
Well, it was very strange. One, she wanted to end the hearing. Two, there was a vote that was taking place, but the vote was called 30 minutes before that exchange. We could have had a recess, everyone could have gone to vote, and we come back and finish the hearing. I don't know why she wanted to end the hearing. I wanted to ask many more questions than I had the time to ask. Yeah. When I realized she wasn't calling a recess, I left the room. I went up to the chamber. I cast my vote on the bill that we were voting on, and I came back to the hearing. I guess she did not. We were also having a member photo. We take it every 2 years where every member of the House files in the chamber. We take a big group picture. It's a little silly, but it's historical, I guess. And she did not like that I was there to ask the questions that I'm entitled to ask. Yeah,
just to be clear, she was one of the recipients of the donations, right? That's
right. That's right. You know, and I had just witnessed the whole hearing, and no one was really talking about donations. They're still not, by the way. And so I'm going to continue to ask that question. I want us to get answers from people that took money from them. And I want to know why they're not returning these funds, because we've got Americans that want to be made whole, and they'll probably never be, but at least some portion of those funds could be returned.
By the way, what is this video we're showing? Is that Maxine Waters blowing kisses at Sam Bankman-Fried? Last year, she's blowing kisses at him? Yes. What the heck is this?
It seems so, you know.
Congressman, thanks very much.
Everyone's so friendly up here.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Congressman Lance, good to see you, sir.